Hey YouTube, I am in a 1994 Ford F150. Customer complaint with this is that the dimmer, instrumentation dimmer, isn't working very well. I don't know if you'd see this. So right now the light's at full intensity. Probably can't tell that with the lights on right now. Sorry about the dinging. Anyway, if I try to adjust it down, it flakes out. Well, go figure, it's not. Oh, there it goes, it flaked out. Anyway, the customer's not happy with it. Sometimes it just flakes out completely. So he wanted the headlight switch to be replaced just as a matter of maintenance. So in this video, that's what we will be doing. Alright, hopefully you can see what's going on here. What we're going to do is we're going to pull the headlight switch out to release the knob. As you can see here, maybe. So turn the rheostat until you get to this notch, okay? Take a pick, like so, and I apologize for the dinger. Take a pick and stick it in the hole and pull back. So there's a little lever in there that you want to engage. And I'm pulling back on it, and now the knob releases. So we are hooking in like so. I'm behind the camera, by the way, so sorry if it seems a little awkward. We want to get ahead of that lever and pull back like so with the pick, and then pull back on the headlight switch, or the headlight knob, sorry. All right, so from there, we can work on removing the remaining bits of the instrument cluster bezel. So next steps is to remove these trim panels here. You might want to get yourself a cat's claw or whatever you want to call this, and just gently, again, remember this is an old truck, so you don't want to break the plastics. Just gently pull back on these trim panels until they release. Normally I get one side undone, and there you go. And that reveals a couple of screws here. Alright, so as you can see, we've got it off. This one was already pre-broken, so that's not on me. And that reveals a couple of screws here. Well, there's supposed to be one right here, and it looks like somebody was in here before and just put like a roofing screw through here. So normally you would remove that. I believe that's typically an 8mm or a Torx 20. So we'll go ahead and remove those now, and we'll get back to you here in the next segment. All right, so with the screws removed, typically what you'd want to do is pull back on this panel and unclip any electrical connectors that are back here. Just want to release any of the electrical connectors. This is probably the hardest part of the job. So there's just a bunch of these connectors here that you want to unplug and free up. On the other side here, assuming you have an intact dash piece, this fuel switch, if equipped, will need to be unplugged from the back before you can release this trim piece. As you can see here, this trim piece came off. I will be trying to repair this so that it stays in the dash. And then we're at the headlight switch. All right, so I've loosened the two Torx 20 screws here. It's the same as the rest of the dash panels. From here we can remove the headlight switch from the dash. From here we can disconnect the electrical connector from the headlight switch. You'll need to pull up on this tab, and this tab here is broken. So I don't know if I'll be able to do this on camera or not. They're usually quite tight for good reason. There's a lot of current going through these. So doing it off camera here. But anyway, you want to make sure that everything is okay in here. I've seen plenty of these that are melted. Everything looks okay as far as the terminals go. Now we can take this guy to the bench and go from there. All right, so we're on the bench now. What we'll need to do is remove this nut here. That is a 16 millimeter or 5/8. I've already broken it free here, so that's how we release the switch from the bracket. We want to take note that this tab here lines up with the notch in the bracket, okay? Like so. So we'll take the old switch out of the way. We've got a new switch from Napa. That's the part number. Yeah, made in Taiwan, but I don't think you're gonna find a switch that's not made someplace foreign for these. As you'll notice, that this one doesn't have the little peg sticking out, but we'll take care of that in just a minute. So just a matter of lining the bracket back up and screwing this part back in. So I'll just tighten it down a little. It doesn't have to be all that tight. It's just what locates the headlight switch to the dash bracket. Just wrist pressure is pretty much all we take. Now, the question of the day is, how do we get this stud off and onto the new guy? Well, easy enough. There's a button right here, okay? Push down on the button and this should just slide right out. You might have to jiggle it or push and release. All right. So, same deal here. There's a button here. Just line it up with the triangle in there. This is a triangular piece here, if you couldn't tell already. Just line it up. Push the button, and eventually it should click in. You know it's clicked in if the rod does not pop out. So now we can take this assembly back to the vehicle and just start putting it back together. Basically, reverse of how we removed it. Alrighty, so we're back at the dash, putting the new switch back in place. Reverse of removal, just go ahead and line everything up. Customer declined getting a new connector put on. They do make repair harnesses for this, where you just cut off the old harness and solder and heat shrink the new one on. But old truck, work truck. In this case, the customer did not want to deal with that, so we're just putting it back together. So Torx 20 screws. Everything's just kind of tight fitting with the wires just pressed up into the dash hole like that. But all right, at this point, you can do a functions check. See if any of the headlights are working, see if the dash rheostat works. Oop, yep. So as you can see, working fairly well. Now we can start putting the rest of the dash back together. All right, so basically reverse of how we removed it. You'll see here I got the fuel switch kind of mounted in this dash panel for the time being. The mounting point was broken off, so I've got it temporarily mounted. We'll get the connector for that plugged in, as well as this other one on the other side for the four-wheel drive indicator, if equipped. Or, yeah, I'm not quite sure what this goes to, but it's an option that this truck doesn't have, but we'll want to plug it into the back of the dash panel here so that it doesn't rattle around in the dash. That's plugged in. Very important if you have a fuel switch to get this plugged in. Otherwise, the truck won't start or won't run for very long. Not a whole lot of slack in these cables, so you're just going to have to just work by braille. All right. And then The rest of it just kind of goes into place here. Just need to get everything more or less lined up. All right, so here we go. We can finish putting our torque screws back on, and that holds this part of the dash together. Normally the top half here would snap into the dash, but the plastic retainers are broken on this dash piece. Again, it's an old truck, par for the course. Actually, I don't like how that screws in there, so I'm gonna do something a little different. Once you have the instrument cluster bezel tightened down with these two screws here, we can put the trim pieces back on. They just snap in place. There's the other side there. Pretty cheese ball. We're gonna try to get a new instrument cluster bezel here, just because this one is very ill-fitting and rattles. No, we don't like it. All right, so we got the dash switch left, or the headlight knob, that is, and that's pretty easy. It just pushes into place. All right. Oh, there we go. So, functions check one more time. All right, the knob does not come out. I mean, it's staying onto the shaft like it's supposed to. Made in Taiwan switch. It's kind of noisy, but it works. I'm getting better adjustment of the illumination, dash illumination here. So, all right, that's pretty much how you do this. That's how you replace the headlight switch on one of these OBS body style Ford pickups. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.